A shocking new government report reveals that serious crime on cruise ships has hit a 2-year high. We have the disturbing numbers. Then, just days ago, a massive window on one of Royal Caribbean's largest ships completely shattered. And if not for the quick thinking of one heroic crew member, passengers could have been seriously hurt or maybe even killed. And later, I'll tell you which infamous cruise story is now getting its own Netflix documentary. You might be surprised. Welcome to my cruise pod. I'm Melissa, a university professor who loves to cruise and who loves to talk ship. And this week in cruise news, it's been a little bit of a wild one. We're going to start with a story that's frankly a little unsettling. According to a newish report from the United States Department of Transportation, crimes on cruise ships departing from U.S. home ports have surged to a 2-year high. In just the first 3 months of this year, for example, a staggering 48 serious crimes were reported to the FBI. Now, what's truly concerning is that over half of these incidents, 23 to be exact, were alleged rapes or sexual assaults. One of the most severe cases is one that I reported to you here on my cruise news pod, and it happened in March on Royal Caribbean's Independence of the Seas, where 2 men were arrested for allegedly sexually abusing a 14-year-old boy in the ship's sauna. Yes, in the sauna, in a public area like that. It's a horrifying story, and it highlights the very real, if still statistically rare, danger. Now, these incidents aren't just happening in private cabins. They're not just things like domestic violence among partners, but they're reported in public areas like bars, pools, nightclubs, and as I mentioned, saunas. And it is usually passenger on passenger crime, although sometimes crew can be involved. A former Secret Service agent told a news media agency that it's a combination of dense crowds. You've got lots of people packed sometimes like sardines. I love cruising, but they pack us in. But it's those dense crowds, the high alcohol consumption, and that kind of relaxed vacation mindset that together create that perfect storm for criminal activity. He also noted that some cruise lines might even delay reporting these incidents because they want to avoid bad press, because people like me talk about it. Things go viral on TikTok, and they want to avoid that. And this is really starting to cast a dark cloud over the industry. Now, personally for me, I still find cruising to be very safe. These statistics don't deter me at all, but I want to know what you think. Is cruising safe? Let me know down in the comments. And if you think it's just numbers and statistics, let's talk about what happened a few days ago. Adding to the concern over that passenger on passenger behavior, a huge brawl erupted, and I want you to guess the cruise line. If you guess Carnival Cruises, you're right. I love Carnival, but these brawls are almost always on Carnival cruise ships. That's just how it is. But in this case, a huge brawl erupted on the Lido deck of the Carnival Sunrise on June 7th, so just a few days ago, and video footage shows absolute mayhem. Passengers throwing chairs at each other on the deck, people screaming, other guests scrambling to get away. Now, security was on the scene pretty quick to break it up, but this incident has once again put passenger misconduct in the spotlight, and in particular, passenger misconduct on Carnival cruises. Many people online, of course, when these things happen, people love to go online, bash Carnival, and I love Carnival, but I'm the first to tell you, I've told you here, and I'll tell you again, I do think Carnival's too lax about these things, and that's why these things keep happening on their ships. But Carnival does have a policy now of a lifetime ban for fighting, along with a fine. And then on top of that, cost of fines for any damages that may incur as a result of the skirmish. I think the fine is too low. I think $500 is not a deterrent. I think they need to significantly up that fine, put it in the contract of carriage, make it $10,000, make it hurt, and then you'll find much better behavior on your cruise ships. Now, the cause of this particular fight, it's still unclear. People just get to mouthing, and Carnival hasn't released an official statement, of course, but it's another ugly incident that nobody wants to see on their vacation, and that Carnival fans, and certainly Carnival Corporation, does not want to see on their ships. Come on, Carnival, get it together. Now, it's not just crime that can go sideways on a cruise. Sometimes the ship itself is the source of the drama, as you're going to find out about when I talk about this Netflix documentary that's coming out. A different kind of drama. But in this case, passengers aboard Royal Caribbean Symphony of the Seas had an absolutely terrifying moment on June 8th. I've seen the footage, it's insane. As the ship was docking in Port Canaveral, there's this massive glass window. So they have the upscale coastal kitchen, it's kind of above the Lido deck, and this massive glass window, it's a series of panes of glass, started to crack and then suddenly, just out of the blue, shattered, sending an absolute deluge of glass down onto the pool deck below. And it actually falls on chairs on the Lido deck, and you can see there's towels clipped on those chairs. So people were sitting there. Now, this is the amazing part of the story. There is a Royal Caribbean waiter named Nitin Kumar. So kudos to him because he is being hailed as a hero. Why? Because he started to notice these cracks forming in that glass wall, and he hustled and hauled tail down to the pool deck to warn the passengers that were lying and chilling in those lounge chairs to basically get out of Dodge. And it was just about 15 seconds after he got them out of their lounge chairs that that glass panel fell. So he absolutely saved people from serious injury. The footage is crazy, and I actually think someone could have died from this. So passengers, of course, have been flooding social media with praise for his quick thinking. Cruise ship crew are often underpaid, underappreciated, and overworked. So kudos to this guy for really helping save some lives. Now, the crew had the area cleaned, the glass replaced, and the pool deck reopened within just hours. And that's impressive, but I want to know what the heck happened here. We expect to be safe on a cruise ship, and to have a pane of glass, this massive sheer glass, completely just collapse and shatter down on people for no apparent known reason. It's pretty freaking scary. And speaking of scary things that could happen on a cruise, man, I feel like this is the fear-mongering episode. I promise cruising is pretty safe generally, but this is just all the stuff that's happened this week. But the ocean loves to remind us of its power, and it's done just that in two separate incidents that have happened recently. First, a passenger on the Norwegian Epic had a terrifying fall from the gangway straight into the ocean while the ship was docked in Catania, Sicily on May 30th. I actually was just in Sicily on a cruise in May, so it's crazy that this just happened here. And I was lucky that on my visit there, the weather was gorgeous and calm. But on this day, strong winds actually blew the ship away from the pier. And that caused the gangway to start to become unstable, and it sent a disembarking passenger tumbling into the ocean. Yes, into the water. I can't even imagine how scary that must have been for them. Now, again, thankfully, we have some heroic crew members coming to the rescue, and they jumped right in literally and helped save this passenger and get them out of the water. Thankfully, the guest only had minor injuries and they were taken to the local hospital, but oh my God, can you imagine? I never even really think about it being scary walking to the gangway. My biggest fear is dropping my phone in the ocean because I've seen that happen. But I can't imagine literally falling in the ocean. But this is a cautionary tale of when we have ports of call sometimes that get canceled because of high winds, even if the weather is seemingly okay and there's not rain. Let's not gripe about it too much, because this right here is the reason why cruise captains are cautious with windy conditions and not docking when it's super windy. It's out of concern for our own passenger safety. They don't want this to happen, so this is a cautionary tale. This is also a perfect example of why I always say travel insurance isn't just a good idea, it should be non-negotiable. Whether it's a freak weather event or something that causes you to plummet into the ocean or glass shattering down on you, you gotta be covered. And if you travel even more than once a year, an annual insurance plan is a great value. That's what I carry. It's a bargain. I have a guide explaining it all. If you wanna check it out, I'll link it below. But seriously, it's just not worth the risk to travel without it. Because in another cruise incident, another weather-related one, Crown Princess recently hit rough seas during its world cruise off the coast of southern Australia. Again, wind is the culprit, and in this case, winds of up to 50 miles an hour slammed into the side of the ship, causing it to list, that means tilt in nautical language, about 7 degrees. So that's a pretty significant list. The captain was able to quickly reroute the ship to manage and get a handle on the situation, thankfully. So while no one was hurt, the tilt did cause damage to the onboard shops. Of course, when ships tilt like that, things are gonna fall and break. And that did, of course, force the cancellation of some shows, understandably. And in our final accident report this week, I feel like it's a cruise traffic report with all of your accidents and injuries here. It's just been a weird week, but a crew member from the Costa de Liziosa went overboard while the ship was docked in Crete. Her fellow crew members acted fast, throwing her life jacket and calling the Coast Guard. She was pulled from the water conscious and thankfully in good health. So it's always a relief to hear about a successful rescue. And so while a lot of stuff happened this week, thankfully, all of these chaotic stories had a positive, successful, healthy outcome for everyone involved. All right, let's shift from chaos to some celebration. Carnival Cruise Line just marked 35 years of sailing from Port Canaveral. The celebration took place aboard the Mardi Gras, which is my personal favorite cruise ship of them all, and it included lots of Carnival bigwigs and local leaders in the area. Carnival now home ports more ships there in Port Canaveral than any other cruise line. And if you put a number on it, it's about 1.2 million guests per year. So to mark the occasion, Carnival, of course, had a big old fatty party. They donated a hybrid pickup truck. They did all kinds of great PR stuff. And they also announced that their next new ship, the Carnival Festival, will debut from the port in 2027 and will feature the line's largest water park. I have a tween daughter who is a water park fanatic and she loves Carnival. So I got to tell her that news because I know she's going to be excited about it. And finally, do you remember the infamous 2013 poop cruise? Well, this was before my cruising time. I didn't take my first cruise until 2017, so I missed all this drama. But if you missed it, or if you want to reminisce about it, you can relive it, because this is now the subject of a new Netflix documentary called Trainwreck. Shouldn't they call it Shipwreck? Like, seriously, there's a better name for it than that. It's on a ship. But it's set to be released on June 24th. Now, if you don't know, the Carnival Triumph is known as the poop ship because it was supposed to be on a 4-day little short boozy cruisy trip from Galveston. But an engine fire left the ship powerless and left adrift in the Gulf of Mexico for 5 days. And that might not seem that bad, but if you're expecting 4 days, that's all you have packed, and you've lost air conditioning, and most notoriously, you've lost working plumbing. Yeah, friends, that's a problem. 5 days, no air conditioning, no working toilets in the Gulf of Mexico. So apparently it was an absolute nightmare situation for everyone involved. Now, the documentary features firsthand accounts from the passengers who were stranded in this nightmare of a poop cruise. And as someone that loves cruising, someone that loves Carnival, and someone who loves some drama, I can't wait to watch, especially because I missed it when it happened in real life. And I want to know, will you be tuning in?